Hello, internet people. More specifically, hello to all the Star Trek fans out there and everything of that sort because I feel for you so greatly right now because of this whole thing that's going on with respects to the Star Trek fan films and these guidelines, and it's all just it sucks. It's uncool. They're perfectly within their legal rights, but at the same time, it's not right to the fans. It's just a huge F you to the fans, and I I'm at a loss for words for a lot of these. So if you are unaware and you're a Star Trek fan, CBS and Paramount Pictures have instated some guidelines on how fans should go about doing their fan films and unofficial stuff and whatnot. So, without further ado, let me begin reading these guidelines or explaining my thoughts on them and all that jazz. So, let me go and look at this and see. CBS and Paramount Pictures are big believers in reasonable fan fiction and fan creativity, and in particular, want amateur fan filmmakers to showcase their passion for Star Trek. Therefore, CBS and Paramount Pictures will not object to or take legal action against Star Trek fan productions that are non-professional and amateur and meet the following guidelines. Now that's the huge part of it, and I think yeah, the gain on that is a bit loud. Okay. That's where this all starts out. The whole we won't take legal action on you as long as you follow our guidelines. And it has to be non professional, as in, you don't make money off of it. And amateur, as far as amateur goes, that's kind of iffy because amateur can be very broad. Does amateur mean that you have to be a noob filmmaker, or it's hard to tell. Now I'm not a professional on these things, so I apologize if I start rambling and stuff. I'm still not a script maker. So anyway, on to the guidelines. The fan production must be less than 15 minutes for a single self-contained story, or no more than 2 segments, episodes, or parts not to exceed 30 minutes total, with no additional seasons, episodes, parts, sequels, or remakes. Now this is already so restrictive. 15 minutes for one self-contained story. As in, you can't have continuity in your fan productions. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime someone makes a fan fiction of some kind, they usually... It can be self-contained and all that jazz, but sometimes it's popular. That particular fan fiction might be popular, so you make a sequel of it, but unfortunately you can't do that. Or if you wanted to do something a bit bigger than just a self-contained story, then I'm sorry, you can't have sequels, you can't have continuity. Every single film you make has to be different from the last one. You can't have the same characters, you can't do anything of that sort, which is already very ridiculous. How do you expect a fan to make a film? I can't even. That's already too restrictive. Not having now, I can understand maybe the time limit. The time limit's kind of ludicrous though, but the time limit plus you can't make multi-part. Well, you can make 2 parts, but you can't make a story. You can't do 15-minute episodes or anything of that sort. You can't do 2 parts in a season. No, that that's mind-blowingly restrictive. I can't even. It's very, very uncool, but they're still within their legal rights, which is so god dang annoying. Okay. Continuing on, the title of the fan production or any parts cannot include the name Star Trek. However, the title must contain a subtitle with the phrase, a Star Trek fan production, in plain typeface. Okay, now it makes sense that they wouldn't want you to put Star Trek in the title or anything of that sort. So, I guess I can give them this one. And these are like things that are already to be expected, I guess. But is it really that necessary to say it's... obviously, they were going to say it was a fan production in the first place, but do you have to be so explicit about it, really? It's like... I don't know. This one I can live with, but it's a bit kind of weird. Because this is one of those things where there shouldn't be a whole guideline for it. It should be more like to be expected, kinda. And if you weren't to put this, I don't think there should be legal action because they're gonna know it's a fan production. Obviously, they usually label it as a fan thing, but do they really have to put these exact quotes for what is it? I don't know. Kind of weird, but I can see why they might want that, and it's not... I can live with it. Anyway, the content in the fan production must be original. No reproductions, recreations, or clips from any Star Trek production. If non-Star Trek third-party content is used, all necessary permissions for any third-party content should be obtained in writing. Now, this is like one of those super weirdly phrased things. Like, this last sentence is kind of weirdly phrased to me. It's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around this. If non-Star Trek third-party content is used, all necessary permissions for any third-party content should be obtained in writing. As in, what do you mean? Oh, the permission... Okay, the permissions you have... You should have them written for them so that they know you have the permission to use such third-party things. And that everything has to be original is already ridiculous because how in the world... How in the world can you make a fan production of any sort without using any of the lore from what the fan production is based on? Or the way they have it phrased, I'm pretty sure what they mean is that you can't use any lore from Star Trek in the creation of your film. So, if it's supposed to be original, completely original, without any reference to anything Star Trek related, then it's not even Star Trek anymore. It's not even a freaking Star Trek film anymore. So, let's say this. Let's say I do follow your guidelines. Number 3 is formatted in a way where I might as well just make a story that's in space. Not label it Star Trek or a Star Trek fan production. And then, yeah. Because I don't have to have Star Trek in the title. Yeah. And don't label it, if I don't label it a fan production, then I'm not within the bounds of number 1. Meaning that number 3 basically says, oh, you have to make something that's your own. That's the only relation to Star Trek in that case would be that it's in space. And then what's the point of the Star Trek production label? And it can't have Star Trek in the name, so it might as well not even be Star Trek. It's not Star Trek anymore. It doesn't make any sense. I can't even fathom this whole entire thing. I'm sorry, this video is long, but let me continue. Okay, If the fan production uses commercially available Star Trek uniforms, accessories, toys, or props, these items must be official merchandise. Now this, and okay, let me continue this. And not bootleg items or imitations of such commercially available props. Now this, that is already very ludicrous, because you can only use official merchandise, and if that official merchandise doesn't exist, how are you supposed to... You can't make your own third-party thing, because if you make your own third-party thing, it's already within the bounds of being imitation or bootleg. Or, oh, it's bootleg of the commercially of... Okay, so you have to use the commercially available products, and if they don't exist, then you can make your bootleg product, I guess. But what if you made a fan production and made a product that wasn't commercially available at the time, and then they release a commercially available product, then, therefore, whatever your product made is bootleg. So, we're taking you to court? Is that how this works? And not to mention, this is already like, oh yeah, you have to pay to use our products so that you can go and make your fan production. So you're paying us to make your production. That's basically what you just said. You're paying them so that you can make your production without any legal action or problems in the first place. Not to mention it has to be completely original. So since it has to be completely original, technically you don't actually have to use their products, because when you're using their products, technically it's not original because it's their products. So it's like, again, you might as well just be making some amateur independent film that has nothing to do with Star Trek because number 3 says it has to be original. That's stupid. I hope I'm reading these right, because that's pretty much what it says, I'm pretty sure. Number 5, the fan production must be a real fan production, i.e. creators, actors, and or participants must be amateurs, cannot be compensated for their services, obviously because it can't be professional, and cannot be currently or previously employed in any Star Trek series, film, production of DVDs, or with any of CBS or Paramount Pictures licenses. Now that's very, very ridiculous. Why in the world are you restricting anyone that's worked on the Star Trek film or anything of the sort before? Why can't they be a part of the fan thing? Actors can be fans too. Are you saying that actors aren't true fans? Are you saying actors aren't real fans in a production? Are you saying that that's just ridiculous? That's ludicrous. How are you supposed to enforce that? There are plenty of actors that have worked on fan productions in the past, meaning that those actors were willing to work on a fan production. And you're just here saying, oh yeah, you can't do that because we said so. Or you have some type of contract that means you can't do that. That's ludicrous. That's unfair to the actors. That's unfair to the creators. That's unfair to a lot of different people. Not to mention this whole thing is unfair to the fans, but legal, we gotta protect our intellectual property so that our copyright doesn't get revoked or anything of that nature. But this is not the way to go about that, CBS Paramount Pictures. I know, I think it's called Axanar is a problem for you, but just because of one film, you're deciding to punish every fan that's ever made any film production of their lives? That's ridiculous. The fan production must be non-commercial. Okay, that's That makes sense. CBS and Paramount Studios do not object to limited fundraising for the creation of a fan production, whether one or two segments, and consistent with these guidelines, so long as the total amount does not exceed $50,000, including all platform fees. And when the $50,000 goal is reached, all fundraising must cease. Now, obviously, this is a quick slap in the face to Axonar, because they made, $1.13 million off of a crowd-funded thing. But 50,000 is kinda stretch for the amount. That's almost okay. I see the need for the restriction, but at the same time, it's one of those things where really, this is one of those points that I can't really talk much on, because I don't know how much actually goes into a fan production. But again, I would say, who are you to say how much money they should be able to put into their fan production and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of iffy. Oh man, I'm sick right now. Okay, I'm sorry, this is going on a long time, but the fan production cannot be distributed in the physical format such as DVD or Blu-ray. Now, that makes sense. Again, non-commercial, you can't really sell your product or any of that sort of stuff. Oh no, I had a notification there. Oh crap. Okay, but I guess that makes sense. I don't know how to expand upon that. I'm gonna skip point 6 because I can't really expand upon too much of that, because it kind of makes sense. Yeah, 6 makes sense. Yeah, I'm probably gonna cut 6. The fan production must be formally fan friendly. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Number 7 makes sense. You don't want sex. You don't want pornography. You don't want all that stuff in the films. But at the same time, some of the things don't actually make some sense. Now, nudity, okay, that makes sense. Obscenity makes sense, I guess. Pornography makes sense. Depictions of drugs. There are plenty of shows in which drugs have been used as a platform to get. I mean, once you get to this point where, yeah, but at the same time, if it's part of the story, then what if your story centers around a planet that's completely drug-based, or a planet that uses a lot of alcohol or tobacco, and some of these restrictions are restrictive on what the story can be. Let's be honest, your self-contained story can't have these things. But, I don't know, I'm pretty sure Star Trek has had alcohol involved in it before, so why are you restricting alcohol use in the production? Tobacco, again, what if it's just part of your setting? Your setting happens to have people that smoke, so you have a character that smokes to look cool, or something like that. You can't do that now. Harmful or illegal activity, that's kind of like Star Trek has done that kind of stuff before. You go to a planet and then you did something illegal on the planet, so you go to jail, and then yeah. Do they mean illegal activity as in the real world it would be illegal? Or again, a lot of this whole part, a lot of it is up to whatever they say. It's so broad that they could say, oh, this content isn't family friendly. Oh, this content has use of drugs, or blah, 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 drug reference. It's vague. A lot of this is vague. A lot of them can just be interpreted however they want. And then, again, they just shut it down because I can't think straight. I should have made a script. Okay, number 8. The fan production must display the following disclaimer. Okay, yes, that makes sense. You guys aren't a part of it. Okay, that makes sense. Creators of the fan should not seek to register their work. Okay, that makes sense. Fan production cannot create or imply any associate. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now, the only things that should be in here are 7 through 10. Now, 7 needs to be a bit more specific on what it classifies as family friendly and suitable for public presentation. But 7 through 10 are the only things I feel should exist in this whole entire thing. Because, oh my god, I don't know. I can't think straight right now. It's all just, Okay, I'm just gonna end off here. All I'm gonna end off saying is that 7 through 8 are the ones that make the most sense. 1 through 6 are just like, why? Number 2 is kind of ridiculous. It makes sense. I could live with number 2, but at the same time, it's like, why? Why? Of course they were going to say it was a fan production before. Well, now, obviously, they don't want Star Trek in the name because they don't want you to search Star Trek, then find your fan thing and be like, oh, is this Star Trek? No, nobody's going to do that. That's dumb. Now, I understand CBS, Paramount Pictures. I understand that you're all like, oh, we don't want the fan production being more popular than the real thing. Now, if that happens and the fans like the fan stuff more than your stuff, then that's more reason to work on your stuff and make your stuff better. It's not a reason to shut down any form of competition. The fans are not your competition. They are not supposed to be your competition. The fans are supposed to be people that expand upon your creations, people that are expressive of your creations, and I don't know how better to explain it, but that's how I feel on this whole thing. Fans being open to expression of their passion for the series and everything is important. Now, I hope that all made sense. I hope you all enjoyed. Maybe like if you like it. Dislike if you don't like the fact that I am not actually a Star Trek fan. I'm just a believer that fans should be able to do things that emphasize their love for a series or something or topic or the lore of some story. And leave a comment letting me know what you think of these ridiculous, or if you think they're not ridiculous because they're protecting their property, guidelines. And above all, no, don't even subscribe to the channel because I don't talk about this stuff normally, obviously. So this video is way longer than it needs to be, and I will see you all later. Bye.